How can you get your age so wrong?
I remember when she was born, big new addition to the family, and we just have a very young sister here.
You know, what a shame. What a shame. Here I was preparing a special episode of the show to mark Meghan Markle's 45th birthday. I've got Link Lauren, one of Meghan Markle's biggest supporters in the United States of America, and we were just going to celebrate how this lady has turned 45. And Link, it's just such bad news because all of a sudden, this birthday, this 45th birthday, has turned into an absolute disaster for Meghan Markle.
Meghan was born, and she was born as a C-section, so she was put in my arm. I was the first person to hold her. Her little hand went on my fingers like that.
This was all particularly tragic, given that Meghan herself had to mark her own birthday.
Many people out there have been speculating on that Meghan Markle has lied about her age. Is she actually older?
I'm going to quote Tom Bauer by saying, he said, look, we all laughed at Samantha and she was right. And everything she said has come true.
I hope you're having the best birthday you've ever had. Thank you for everything.
Meghan Markle's latest birthday post was probably meant to show freedom, fun, and a carefree celebration. Instead, it has people studying the details and asking a very different question. Why does such a major birthday moment look so strangely empty?
Oh dear. For once, I agree with Prince Harry. What happened to Meghan Markle's quiet birthday plans? You know, the plans that she briefed to Hello magazine? Instead, we had to see a woman who believes she should have a royal role in some type of sachet, like a drag queen, around her crap kitchen with a fake birthday tiara on her head. This is real.
The post has also revived an old online debate about Meghan's age, with some critics digging through old photographs, magazine references, and comments involving her family. But that needs to be kept in perspective. Meghan is publicly documented as being born in 1981, so claims that she has secretly changed her age remain speculation rather than established fact. Still, the fact that the argument has resurfaced shows just how closely every detail of her public image gets picked apart.
This is a copy of 17 magazine, and it was published in March of 1997. In it, it mentions our Megzy from Los Angeles and that she was 21 years old at the time of publication. That would make her birth year at around 1976.
But the bigger talking point here is not really the number on the birthday cake. It is what Meghan actually chose to show. Think about the usual celebrity birthday post. There is often a partner somewhere in the pictures, children appearing in a carefully selected family moment, friends gathered around a table, or at least some sign that other people were part of the celebration. Meghan went in a completely different direction. The images centered almost entirely on Meghan herself. There was a rope swing, a swimming pool, balloons, and a polished black and white aesthetic. What viewers did not see was Prince Harry. Archie and Lilibet were not shown either. Doria Ragland was absent from the images, and there was no obvious group of friends filling out the celebration.
Oh dear.
Meghan shared photos of herself swinging out over her own pool, arms up, balloons trailing behind her, and the whole thing shot in black and white, which already tells you this wasn't a candid moment somebody grabbed on a phone. This was staged, composed, and posted with intention.
How this lady has turned 45. And Link, it's just such bad news because all of a sudden, this birthday, this 45th birthday, has turned into an absolute disaster.
Of course, that does not prove those people were not there. A social media post is only a tiny, selected piece of somebody's day, and Meghan and Harry have generally kept their children away from a constant public exposure. But from a branding perspective, the choice is still interesting. For a birthday post, the message felt less like, look who celebrated with me, and much more like, look at this carefully captured moment.
Oh dear indeed. Followed by the unedifying view of her dogs being forced to wear party hats and a prince of the realm's gross bare feet.
Wait.
Oh dear. Sit. Okay, wait.
Good girl.
Wait.
Oh no.
No.
Okay, let's take it off. I'm sorry.
This was all particularly tragic given that Meghan herself had to mark her own birthday.
And the styling only pushed that impression further. Meghan was photographed jumping into the pool while still wearing sunglasses, a watch, and jewellery. That instantly gave critics something to work with. Rather than reading as somebody suddenly deciding to jump into the water, the moment looked highly prepared to some viewers. The photographer was ready, Meghan was styled, and the shot landed almost perfectly.
It is Meghan Markle's birthday today, and the name of the game apparently is cosplay, as Meghan is once again cosplaying her mother-in-law, Princess Diana,
whose entire public identity got rebuilt around togetherness. The dinner parties, the friendship bracelets, the we language in every caption, and on the one day that's actually about her.
That does not automatically mean the moment was fake. Celebrity photography is often planned. But when the whole point of an image appears to be carefree spontaneity, visible production choices can make audiences question just how spontaneous the moment really was. Then another detail started getting attention. The pool. Some longtime royal watchers argued online that the pool shown in the birthday photographs did not appear to resemble the swimming pool previously associated with the Sussex's Montecito home. That sparked speculation about whether the pictures were taken somewhere else. There is nothing inherently suspicious about celebrating at another property, hotel, or private location. But because no location was immediately obvious from the images, viewers began doing what they always do with Meghan's posts, zooming in and analysing everything.
The frame is empty. That household has an Instagram strategist, and I have to assume they saw this before it went up. Which means either nobody around methane thought to say, maybe put a person in the shot. With AI, perhaps, but no, nobody was around to ask.
And that is where the contrast with older public images becomes noticeable. Previous years have sometimes offered more of a family-centered visual story, with Harry or other people helping create the impression of a shared celebration. This time, the presentation was dramatically more isolated. Meghan was the clear focus, while practically everyone else important in her personal life remained outside the frame. Maybe that was completely intentional. Maybe privacy was the priority. But when a public figure carefully controls what the audience gets to see, what is missing from the picture can become almost as interesting as what is actually in it. That stripped-back presentation is exactly what kept the birthday post under the microscope. Meghan was shown almost completely on her own, suspended above the water with balloons nearby, while the black and white photography gave the whole thing a polished editorial feel. And because comments on the Instagram post were not open for direct public discussion, most of the reaction quickly moved elsewhere online. But the conversation did not stay focused on Harry's absence, the mystery surrounding the location, or even the carefully captured pool jump. Within hours, critics had moved on to a much older argument surrounding Meghan, her age.
What if Meghan Markle was adopted? What if there more to her birth than just her age? Could it be that she doesn't know her own age because she's been lied to by her father and mother? Could it be that's why Doria doesn't have a bond with Meghan Markle? Because what mother leaves her daughter when she's 3 or 4 years?
Thomas Jr. was 14 when Meghan came into the world. Were you disappointed?
No, I just made a little mark on my board and said, oh, there's another lie. Click.
You're wondering, why does her age matter at all? Because her age would also have an impact on her ability to have children. Because if Meghan Markle is 4 years older than what we have been led to believe, it makes it even more difficult to believe that she was able to get pregnant so quick.
This debate has floated around online for years, with different posts claiming Meghan is older than her publicly reported age. Old photographs, school timelines, magazine pages, and comments attributed to people from her past regularly get pulled into the discussion whenever her birthday comes around. Here is where things need to stay grounded, though. Meghan's publicly documented birth date is August 4th, 1981, which makes her 45 in 2026. Online claims suggesting she is actually 51, or that she has somehow been celebrating the same age repeatedly, have not been established by reliable evidence. That has not stopped the rumour from spreading, but repetition on social media does not turn speculation into proof. Samantha Markle, Meghan's half-sister, has also repeatedly become part of broader arguments surrounding Meghan's personal history. Because the sisters have publicly disagreed over aspects of their family story, Samantha's name often gets pulled into these online debates, but family conflict by itself cannot verify a different birth date. So the more revealing story may actually be why people are so eager to investigate Meghan's birthday in the first place.
There was something, in my opinion, missing in their eyes. It didn't seem real to me. And there's a very big difference. It was deliberate. I'll tell you why. What she told the royal family, what she told Harry, wouldn't have jived, wouldn't have been consistent with the truth.
August 4th, 40 years ago, Meghan was born.
Father claims that she was born in 1981. So if she was born in 1981 when Yasmin did that commercial, and like in 1997, she would have been 16 years of age, not 13.
Her public image has leaned heavily into carefully controlled storytelling, lifestyle imagery, personal photographs, intimate-looking videos, and moments presented as glimpses into her private world. That means even something as simple as a birthday photograph can become a forensic exercise for critics. Every background detail gets checked, every outfit gets compared, every old image gets dragged back into circulation. And that is exactly what happened next. Royal watchers began sharing an old photograph of Princess Diana from the summer of 1997. In that famous image, Diana is captured jumping from a yacht into the sea during what would become the final summer of her life. People then placed Diana's photograph beside Meghan's new birthday image. The comparison immediately took off. Both images capture a woman in mid-air above water.
It is Meghan Markle's birthday today, and the name of the game apparently is cosplay, as Meghan is once again cosplaying her mother-in-law, Princess Diana. And of course, this has been talked about for years now. Meghan Markle's incessant need to copy other people, from Diana to the Princess of Wales to other celebrities like Pamela Anderson, Gwyneth Paltrow. Meghan Markle seems to lack one very key thing in the public's eye, and that is a defined identity. From her fashion to her personality to her interests, everything about Meghan seems to be a copy of somebody else, because she...
Both have a dramatic, almost cinematic quality, and viewers pointed to similarities in the body position and overall composition. Once those pictures appeared side by side, some critics began suggesting Meghan's photograph was deliberately designed to echo Diana. But there is an important distinction here. Similar photographs do not prove imitation. Jumping into water naturally creates a limited number of poses, and there is no confirmed evidence that Meghan or her photographer intentionally recreated Diana's photograph. The visual resemblance can still be discussed, especially given how closely Meghan's public imagery is analysed, but calling it a deliberate copy would go further than the available evidence supports. What makes the comparison especially sensitive is Diana herself. For many long-time royal followers, Diana is not simply another figure from royal history. They remember watching her marriage unfold following years of intense press attention around her, and then experiencing the shock of her passing in 1997. Images from those final months therefore carry enormous emotional weight. So when Meghan's birthday photograph was placed beside one of those images, the reaction was always going to be intense. Some viewers saw nothing more than two photographs taken decades apart during similar moments. Others felt the visual resemblance was uncomfortable because of Meghan's connection to Prince Harry and the enormous symbolic importance Diana still carries around the royal family.
Oh my gosh, poor Meghan Markle. She just doesn't really seem to have an identity. And she keeps constantly trying on different ones to see which ones fit. And none of it is particularly working particularly well. And what she has done here, I think, is just so incredibly fundamentally flawed in terms of the image she's trying to project. Now, of course, her fans will love it. Some lay people might like or enjoy it. And even if you think, hey, this isn't the worst thing, it's not in a way. But it's the cosplay again. And there are ways to pay homage to women through fashion, Like even my grandmother recently passed away. And so I got some of her fashion pieces,
And suddenly, what began as a carefully produced birthday post was no longer being discussed simply as a birthday post. The internet had turned one split-second pool jump into another full-scale debate about Meghan's image, her presentation, and the way audiences interpret nearly every public move she makes. One tiny detail in those two photographs ended up attracting an almost ridiculous amount of attention. The sunglasses! Diana appears without hers during the jump while Meghan keeps hers on as she goes into the pool. Critics immediately turned that difference into something much bigger, arguing that Diana's photograph feels naturally captured, while Meghan's looks more like an image designed specifically for the camera. That interpretation is subjective, of course. Nobody can determine what somebody was thinking from a pair of sunglasses. Meghan may simply have decided to keep them on, but it fits into a broader criticism that has followed her public image for years. The idea that moments presented as relaxed and personal sometimes look surprisingly polished. And Diana is not the only comparison being made. Meghan's fashion choices, poses, photography, and even some recent headband looks have sparked comparisons with other famous women, including Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. Another claim circulating online sounds much more concrete, and that is exactly why it deserves closer scrutiny. A supposed March 1997 issue of 17 magazine has been cited online as evidence in the debate surrounding Meghan's age. According to the claim, a feature supposedly identified a Meghan Markle as being 21 years old. From there, the argument is simple. If that person was 21 in 1997, the timeline would conflict with Meghan's publicly documented 1981 birth year. It sounds explosive when presented that way.
It felt like the perfect day to address a theory that many people out there have been speculating on, that Meghan Markle has lied about her age. Is she actually older?
Is Megsy really lying about her age? Now, when you Google her, it says that she was born on the 4th of August, 1981. And with today being a birthday, as of me recording this video, it's saying that she's 44 years old.
The problem is that finding a name and an age in an old publication is not enough by itself. The crucial question is whether the person mentioned was actually the same Meghan Markle. Without reliable confirmation of the identity and context of that entry, treating the magazine reference as definitive evidence would be a massive leap. And there is another obvious issue. Meghan's publicly reported biography places her birth on August 4th, 1981. That timeline would make her 15 in March 1997, turning 16 later that year. So yes, if an authenticated magazine entry unquestionably identified the same Meghan Markle as 21, there would be a contradiction worth explaining. But the if is doing some serious work there. That distinction gets lost quickly once screenshots start circulating online. A claim can go from someone found an old magazine entry to this proves everything within hours, even when the key link between those two statements has never actually been established.
Wondering, why does her age matter at all? Because her age would also have an impact on her ability to have children. Because if Meghan Markle is 4 years older than what we have been led to believe, it makes it even more difficult to believe that she was able to get pregnant so quickly. Never mind the hysterectomy stories that her family have told. But that would make it more difficult because that would make Meghan Markle near 50.
The age debate has also pulled older pieces of Meghan's biography back into the spotlight. One of those stories involves Humphrey Yogurt, the frozen yogurt shop where Meghan has said she worked as a teenager. Accounts of that early job have appeared repeatedly over the years, and critics have attempted to place it alongside school dates, photographs, interviews, and other pieces of her public timeline. But rather than automatically proving some hidden alternative biography, those details need to be examined in context, because once people start working backward from a conclusion they already believe, almost any old photograph, magazine clipping, or teenage job can suddenly be made to look suspicious. That teenage job has become one of the most repeated pieces of this entire age theory. Online posts claim Humphrey Yogurt did not employ workers as young as 13, and that employment rules would have prevented Meghan from holding the job at the age she has sometimes described. From there, critics argue that an older birth year suddenly makes the story fit much better. But there is a problem with treating that as a smoking gun. Details about historical hiring policies, work permits, and Meghan's exact duties would need solid documentation before they could establish anything about her birth year.
Are you telling me that that commercial, which was so pivotal for Meghan Markle, she didn't even bother to watch so she can recount the story and say when I was 12 rather than when I was 11? Because the commercial is out in the public domain, and I will leave the link for you guys to go watch it. It was done when she was 12 years of age. So there is something that is not connected.
A decades-old employment story is not a birth certificate. Then there is Meghan's famous Procter & Gamble story. She has repeatedly described challenging what she considered sexist language in a dishwashing liquid advertisement when she was a child. The story became part of her public narrative and has been discussed during major appearances. Critics, however, have pointed to Old Nick News, footage in which Meghan reportedly describes herself as 12, while later versions of the story have often placed her at 11. That sounds suspicious when isolated, but an age difference of roughly 1 year in a childhood story told decades later is hardly enough to rewrite somebody's entire biography. People frequently describe events by the age they were when something began, when it happened, or when it received attention.
What is going on here? Why the secrecy around this woman's birth certificate? Why the secrecy? Why the mistakes in age that are so blatant for others? And you know what? This is like her education in university, that she claims that she double major in international relations and theater, when Northwestern has never given a major in international relations.
Another disputed story involves actress Yasmin Bleeth. Meghan has recalled encountering Bleeth while working at the yogurt shop and complimenting her on an advertisement. Online investigators have tried matching that memory against the dates of particular commercials, arguing that certain versions of the timeline do not line up. But once again, there are multiple assumptions packed into that argument. Which advertisement Meghan meant, exactly when the encounter happened, and whether every detail of a childhood memory has remained perfectly consistent decades later. The more serious claims come from attempts to reconstruct Meghan's history through old databases, classmates, and family accounts. Biographer Tom Bauer has been one of Meghan's harshest chroniclers, and his work has generated plenty of controversy of its own. Claims associated with the wider age debate have pointed towards supposed older online listings, including assertions that IMDb once displayed a different birth year for Meghan before being changed. Even if an old database entry did show another year, that would not automatically prove Meghan supplied it herself.
I have to ask, is this woman crazy? Is she that much of a liar, or is there something deeper? Because just to give you another example, she claims that she was 13 years of age when she started to work for Humphrey Yogurt, in spite of the fact that Humphrey Yogurt has said that they have never employed anybody at age 13. Number two, she claims that when she started working at Humphrey Yogurt, she ran into Yasmin Bleeth, and that she congratulated Yasmin Bleeth for her deodorant commercial. Yasmin Bleeth didn't do that deodorant commercial until 1997.
Entertainment databases can contain incorrect information, user-submitted material, or simple clerical errors. A changed IMDb page is not the same thing as an altered government record. Then come the Northwestern University photographs. Critics have examined old group pictures featuring Meghan alongside other students and tried estimating her age through the ages of people around her. But classmates do not all have to be born in the same year. University clubs can include students from different graduating classes, older students, younger students, and people whose education followed completely different timelines. And finally, Thomas Markle enters the story. Various accounts surrounding this controversy claim Meghan's father was questioned about her birth year and did not immediately provide the simple answer critics expected. His alleged response, "Check the records yourself," has consequently been treated online as another suspicious clue. But even an awkward response from a parent would not establish a different birth date. Family relationships can be complicated. Interviews can be edited or contextualized differently. And hesitation is not documentary evidence. That is the problem running through this entire theory. Taken individually, these stories can sound strange.
There are so many telltale signs that something is clearly wrong with Meghan. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but I mean, how can you get your age so wrong? Did you know that in 1997, when she met Yasmin Bleeth, when she claims that she was working for Humphrey Yogurt, age 13, she also, or somebody with the name Meghan Markle, filled out a questionnaire for Sears, the company, claiming that she was 21 years of age.
Stack them rapidly together: the yogurt shop, the childhood interview, Yasmin Bleeth, IMDb, university photographs, Thomas Markle, and they can create the appearance of an overwhelming case. But volume is not the same thing as verification. The publicly documented birth date remains August 4th, 1981, and overturning something that basic would require considerably stronger evidence than internet timelines, old database entries, disputed memories, and interpretations of somebody's hesitation. Then there is one more piece of the puzzle that critics have repeatedly highlighted: Meghan's own description of the age gap between herself and Samantha Markle. During the legal dispute surrounding Finding Freedom, communications connected to Meghan became public through court proceedings. In one account discussing her childhood, Meghan reportedly described herself as being around 2 when her parents separated, and Samantha as being approximately 15 at the time. Online investigators immediately grabbed their calculators. If those ages were perfectly exact, that would suggest a gap of roughly 13 years. Samantha was born in 1964, so critics argue that the calculation appears difficult to reconcile with Meghan's publicly documented 1981 birth year. But there is an important catch. People routinely use approximate ages when describing childhood memories, especially events from decades earlier. Saying somebody was 15 rather than 16 or 17 does not automatically establish an exact mathematical timeline.
When she was 12 years of age. So there is something that is not connecting. There is something that is not right. And I haven't been able to get a hold of a birth certificate, of a copy of her birth certificate. So if any of you can get it for me, please do so. So I started getting some emails from some of the subscribers, and they said, what if Meghan Markle was adopted? What if there more to her birth than just her age? Could it be that she doesn't know her own age because she's been lied to by her father and mother? Could it be that's why Doria doesn't have a bond with Meghan Markle? Because what mother leaves her daughter when she's 3 or 4 years? Okay, maybe she went to jail. Those are the rumors.
Without evidence that Meghan intended those numbers as precise dates, using one sentence to declare her official birth records false would be a major stretch. And that brings Samantha Markle back into the discussion. Samantha has publicly challenged numerous parts of Meghan's version of their family history over the years, while Meghan and her representatives have disputed aspects of Samantha's narrative. Tom Bauer has also been highly critical of Meghan and has amplified questions surrounding inconsistencies in her story. That history makes for explosive commentary, but it still does not settle the central question. Meghan's publicly documented birth date remains August 4th, 1981. The alternative age theories rely heavily on disputed timelines, recollections, old online entries, interpretations of photographs, and calculations based on statements that may never have been intended as exact dates. And some of the more dramatic consequences being suggested online go much further than the evidence supports. Claims that an alleged age discrepancy would automatically invalidate Meghan and Harry's marriage, erase their wedding legally, or somehow throw Archie and Lilibet's status into chaos should not be presented as established legal reality. There is no demonstrated basis here for saying any of those things are actually happening. The children especially should not be dragged into an adult controversy built largely around internet speculation.
There are files about Doria Ragland. We know that in 1996, she was sued for eviction to get evicted from the place where she was living. And there's also a criminal file that nobody can access. So what is really the reality? Because how can nobody correct this woman? She went on Southwest and Texas on that stage with Katie Couric, and Katie Couric asked her, can you please tell us the story when you were 11 years old? I mean, everybody has seen that commercial. it clearly starts with, when I'm Meghan Markle, I'm 12 years old. So what is going on here? Why the secrecy around this woman's birth certificate?
Drop your take in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who follows celebrity drama, and subscribe so you do not miss what happens next. For even more celebrity drama, click the next video appearing on your screen right now. There is plenty more to unpack, and you definitely do not want to miss what is coming next. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.